What's going on, guys? It's Derek, your Superbike Life. Welcome back to part 2 of my Arrows exhaust install. It's a couple of days later. Didn't really feel like starting it, getting back to it yesterday. It was pretty late when I got home. So I'm back at it today, Tuesday afternoon here. Took the day off, had some errands to run, so figured I'd just do that. But right now I'm installing the header caps, and I'm torquing them down to spec. There we go. And the spec for these cap nuts is about a little bit more than 10 foot-pounds. So I've gone just a snad bit over that because of the extension or the deep socket that I was using. We'll put this away. And now what we'll do is we'll test fit a couple of the pipes here. There we go. That looks good. Grab the other one. That looks good. I'm not sure if there is a difference to these. I'll have to figure out. That one looks like it goes there. All right. Okay. We'll work that on like so. We'll go and grab a spring. All right, so all I'm doing right now is I'm taking the spring here and I'm going to be connecting 2 of them. There we go. There's one. There's 2. All right. We'll slide this back in here. There we go. So we're going to put the other connecting pipe on. Now we're going to put the I'm going to install the O2 sensor before I put it on, that way I have some room. Okay. Here we go. Awesome. I should have put these on beforehand, but I didn't. Short. Do I have a longer? All right. The headers are all installed. Now let's flip it around to the other side. We'll get to the silencer and in the mid pipe. Move my caliper up there. So here's my mid pipe with the dent in it, although it shouldn't really be a problem. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's not too bad. Shouldn't obstruct airflow. Again, I ordered a replacement for this unit, but it came in as titanium, and this is stainless steel, and the titanium one does not fit. And seeing it was a special order, I can't even return it. So I'm looking for an undented stainless steel mid pipe. So about like that is accurate. Slide those on like so. All right, so I think we're all set with the Arrows exhaust. The headers are on, mid pipe is connected, silencer is on. I need to put some washers or find shorter bolts here. I don't think these are OEM that I have in the subframe here. So we got a little bit of movement, but I'll replace those bolts and everything should be good there. So now we can turn our focus to reinstalling the radiator. Make sure I get all this stuff out of the way. Connect my O2s. So I'm going to dump the overflow tank. We'll start to get it back in here into place. And we'll try not to screw up any of the fins. Okay. So right now I'm reconnecting all of the electrical connections. Now I'm putting in the washers and the clips here on the top. Do the same over here. I can tighten these back up. And now we need to put the clip and the washer on the bottom. I know you can't see me or to see down here, but it's easier for me to do from this side. Now we can reconnect the hoses. Did it again, didn't I? Yes, I did. Do the other side. The oil cooler to the radiator. All right. Just make sure hoses and things are routed properly. Ziploc, zip tie that to there. That's all set, that's all set, that's all set. Connected here, we'll rerun the wires. Okay, so I'm still waiting for my oil filters and my Mo2 oil to show up. Should be here in a couple of hours. So until then, what we will do is we will turn our focus to the brake pads, and we'll get the calipers and the brake pads at least installed. I still won't be able to bleed and flush the system until my Mo2 660 shows up, but we can at least get them back on the bike. So let's do that next. All right, guys. So here I'm over at my my little toolbox here, top of a toolbox. And I have my SBS dual compound pads, race pads. Again, don't use these on the street. They need heat to work properly. We'll set that aside. So I have the caliper, have the right side caliper off. And there's a little clip that goes inside the caliper. Make sure you don't lose that. Make sure you keep the orientation proper. Okay, so I've already done it, but all you want to basically do is compress the pistons back into the caliper. So there are 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Just compress them back into the caliper so you have some space. Make sure that you have a towel ready because you're probably going to shoot some crap all over you. And then it's just a matter of just sliding the pads into place. Get out of here, bug. There's one side. Now we'll do the other. Here we go. That is it. That's how you install brake pads. Really simple, particularly on these M4 monoblocks. Brembo makes it really, really easy. So I'm just going to throw this on the right side of the bike, and then we'll come over. Seeing the left side caliper is still at least connected, we'll do that one on camera. All right. Pads all ready. The caliper, or the pistons, have already been pushed back into the caliper. There we go. out. There we go. Grab my titanium caliper bolts. I'm just going to put these on finger tight because obviously we don't have our brake fluid yet, nor do we have any oil or an oil filter on this thing, so don't want to do anything silly like start it or anything like that. Try to drive it, or ride it, I should say. Okay, so the calipers are on here finger tight. I can't fill it or bed in the brake pads on the rotors or anything like that yet until my Motul oil and my Motul 660 brake fluid shows up. So we're still waiting for those things. So as soon as they get here, we'll change the oil filter, we'll put in some oil, we'll fill the coolant system, and then we'll fill and bleed the front brakes as well. Then we'll go and take it for a ride and bed in these pads. But until that stuff shows up, we are done for the moment. So I'll see you guys in a couple hours. Okay, so I'm going to start with the brake fluid, which means we need to raise this table up just enough so I can release the locking mechanism, and then I can lower it down. Right about there is good. So we need a Phillips. Put those up there. And we'll get the rubber boot pushed back into the cap. We'll grab our Motul 660 brake fluid. This is a high performance brake fluid. And the thing that sucks with brake fluid is that it absorbs moisture. So as soon as I break this seal, moisture is going to get into the bottle and the fluid is going to start absorbing moisture. Lucky for me, I live in the desert, so we don't have a whole lot of humidity out here, so it's not always that bad. But if you live in an area that has a lot of humidity, gets a lot of rain, it can be a challenge to keep your brake fluid. So we're going to put some in there. I'm going to immediately put the cap back on it, even though it's not an airtight seal. And what I'm first going to do is I'm going to bleed the brake master cylinder here. Where's my bleeder goodies? So I got my bleeder. This is a vacuum, so basically I just hook up the air hose to it and I can actually suck the fluid up. There we go. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with the brake master cylinder. I think I'm fairly well bled there. We will top up. Top up our fluid reservoir. And And now I'm going to bleed the caliper. It's starting with the one furthest from the master cylinder, which means the left side caliper. So I got my 8mm crescent wrench. I'm just gonna break that loose a little bit. Move our swag out of the way. All right. Now in theory, I shouldn't have to, with this vacuum system, I shouldn't have to pump this brake lever, but I do it because that's what I'm used to. Okay. And now I'll move on to the other side and do the same there. All right, the brakes are bled. We still need to tighten up the calipers and center them on the rotors and things of that nature, but we'll do that right before we go out and bed in the pads on the rotors. So now what I'll do is I'll fill it with oil, then we'll do the coolant, and then we'll take it for a ride. All right, so I got my funnel over here. I'm gonna have to hold this thing, which is gonna be a pain in the behind. I'm actually going to lower this a little bit to make it a little bit easier on myself. All right. So I got my mold tool, 300V. This is 5W40. This is a racing full synthetic oil. The bike calls for just over 4 quarts. So we're going to add all of this. Sort of has a green tint to it, which is interesting because normally if you get coolant down in your drivetrain, in your oil area, it sort of comes out this color, and it's an indication that you got a serious problem, probably a blown head gasket or something along those lines, but let's not worry about that. I'm just going to go on the other side and look at the sight glass. We do look good there, but it calls for 4.1, so I'm going to put 4.1 in it. All right, guys, well, it's time to fill the bike with our coolant additive. So I got my MoCool racing coolant additive. It doesn't contain any of the slippery contents that tracks don't allow you to use. I have a gallon of distilled water and my ratio right. So according to MoCool, we're supposed to mix this at a 20-to-1 ratio. So 1 part this, 20 parts water, which is why I have my ratio right. So over here on my ratio right, and you probably can't see it because the light has it blown out, but we have gallons across the top. So I have 2.5, 2, 1.5, and 1 gallon here, and then scales under it. So I just go down here till I find 20-to-1, which is right there. So I'm going to fill this ratio right with the MoCool additive right to that line, put it in the distilled water, mix it all up, and then put it in the system. Simple as that. There we go. Has a purple tint to it. Now we'll just pour this in. Okay. Set our ratio right aside. Mix this up, and then we'll simply add it to the system. We'll bleed it, and then we'll be able to take this for a ride. Now, if you're looking for how much to put in the bike and how to bleed it and so forth, check out one of my other videos. This is one of my first videos, I think it was, on this bike, where we drained and flushed the system. So I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm just going to fill it up, and then we're going to go for a ride. All right, so our bleed screw is right here. I'm just going to loosen that just a little bit there. I'm going to get my bucket ready. We're going to have to allow some fluid to come out of here. Remove my radiator cap. We're going to lower the bike. So I got my blue funnel all ready to fill the system, and yes, it's the same funnel that I used to just fill the system with oil. I cleaned it all out nice and good. I have like 3 funnels. One of them is like a huge black one, like 4 feet long. Sorry. But I don't know where they are. I guess that's what happens when you have boys as children. Like shit just disappears. I don't know. But yeah, we're just gonna fill the system. I'll bleed it. We'll look for leaks. Fill our overflow tank up to the line, right about there. Put the cap back on. Overflow plug. All right, I still got to clean up this mess a little bit, but all right. So we're just about ready to take this for a ride to bed it in and everything. So what I'm going to do is I still need to center the calipers on the rotors, and I can't do that until the front wheel is off the ground. So rather than try to do that on the table because I have the front wheel chock here, I'm just going to take it off the ramp, put the front wheel stand on it, and then I can do it that way on the ground, and then we can take this for a ride. So I'll be right back. All right, so I let the bike run for a few minutes. Make sure that we had no oil or coolant leaks or brake fluid leaks. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to accelerate to about 30 miles an hour, apply the brakes. For this guy to pass us. I don't want anybody running into the back of me. So what this does is it heats up the pads, heats up the rotors, and it puts the new pad material onto the rotors so that when you go to use them on track day, you'll have good brakes. Now we'll just sort of drive it around the block to let them cool off. We'll try not to use the brakes at all.
All right, guys, well, we are back in the garage. As you can see, the bike is back on the K&L lift. We just finished bedding in our new racing brake pads. So I think that is about it for this episode. Again, my name is Derek. This is Euro Superbike Life, or ESBKLife for short. Special thanks to Motul for hooking me up with some racing oil, some Motul coolant additive, the 660 brake fluid, and some awesome chain lube as well. So you'll see more from them on my other videos. But again, I am Derek. You guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, or smash it if you didn't. Until next time, guys, take care.